We now move into our third session for the day, a fireside chat on the topic value creation to drive revenue impact and outside in perspective. A brief introduction on our speaker, Zarin Daruwala, CEO, Standard Chartered. Zarin is Cluster Chief Executive Officer, India and South Asia markets. She was selected as one of the top 30 most powerful women in Indian business by Business Today 7 times and has featured in the coveted BT Hall of Fame for being a consistent performer. She featured in the 50 most powerful women in business listing by Fortune India in 2021. Hear her bring in the outside-in perspective on the importance and the need to build an inclusive culture with innovation and purpose at the heart of leadership, translating this into revenue. Chairing the session is Srini Krish, President Global Services, Fiserv. Srini is an experienced technology leader with a demonstrated history in banking and financial services industry. As President Global Services of Fiserv, Srini is currently responsible for leading an organization of 10,000 plus very talented engineers who provide services across engineering. Pleasure to have you both join us today. Over to you, Srini.
Thank you, Justin. Hello, everybody. Let me give a little bit of context about Fiserv. We're a global leader in payments and financial technology in areas including account processing and digital banking solutions. We also do card issuer processing and network services. We do e-commerce and merchant acquiring processing in brick and mortar. Clover, a cloud-based point of sale and business management platform, is part of Fiserv family. Our capability center, which I'm personally responsible for, works across product development, solution development, business process automation, data analytics, and other engineering fields. Our topic today is about value creation to drive revenue impact using connections, collaborations, and commerce. It could not be at a more opportunistic time. Let's think about how organizations today are creating value that positively impacts and influences our stakeholders, namely our shareholders, our customers, our employees, and the communities that we sort of operate in. And as we all know, businesses often get caught in the middle of striking the balance, right, between meeting near-term earning targets and following long-term value creation strategies. Satisfying the customers alone cannot be sufficient. We know that. Creating longer-term values for businesses is how you continue to stay in the business. Global capability centers have been a critical part of being able to create that value. Again, we'll talk a little bit about how bringing in greater breadth and depth of services with focus on high-end engineering has enabled the global capability centers to be able to be part of that journey. We'll talk about how the collaboration is important. Again, this is typically in the form of partnerships with government, academia, and startups. And last but not the least, this whole digital transformation that's fueling the growth and how bringing about innovative solutions is building commerce. I'm excited to have Zarin with us today. We'll start with customers, as we always do. In this new age, connected customer desires embedded financial services that enable seamless and secure movement of money and information. And the trajectory of low friction and contactless is starting to evolve. So Zarin, let me ask you, how is Standard Chartered built on customer centricity and in creating value for users, particularly in this post-COVID world? And if you could share some examples of how you're leveraging technology and the innovation for both customer and in other parts of the bank, that'd be great.
Thanks, Srini. So I would say that the lines between the traditional banks and the digital native banks, as we call them, is blurring. And thanks to COVID, we've seen a huge acceleration in digital adoption. And it forced every bank to, COVID period sort of forced every bank to relook at all their processes because we had to keep our customer acquisition momentum going, our service momentum going. So I think last 2 years has been a sort of, a point where every bank sort of looked at how to accelerate the digital adoption with their customers. So in that period, actually 85% of our volumes, which we would ordinarily do pre-COVID, we actually could do just through pure digital. And Standard Chartered is actually having 73% digital adoption, which is 10% higher than the industry average. So we do have a very digitally active customer base. I would put the whole digital journey in 4 buckets. One is onboarding, digital servicing, digital payments, and back-end digitization. So on the onboarding side, we actually, all our products, savings account opening or a credit card opening or a personal loan, if somebody wants to avail a personal loan, everything was end-to-end digital. And that period, RBI permitted video KYC also, which really helped us. Without that, otherwise, the regulator requires a face-to-face interaction for KYC purposes. And we also extended this to our channel partners. So it was a very seamless kind of for customer to be onboarded. The second thing that we focused on was digital services. So almost everything that can be done, in a physical mode is something that we've enabled in the servicing digitally for our customers, which really enabled customers to be serviced. And the other interesting thing that was quite a bit of technology was that during COVID, we didn't have people in the call center sitting in one place, but sitting in their homes everywhere. And the calls had to be sort of adjusted in a way that it goes to the respective people, right? And RBI requires calls to be recorded. So we had to enable this when lockdown happened. Within 7 days, we had to enable this. So these are things that forced banks to do things differently. The other thing was digital payments. Again, on the payment side, our payment platforms are cloud native and microservices based architecture. We have actually moved our entire core banking system to cloud. Very few banks have done it. Last year, we did it in a live environment, which is quite a tough thing to do. And in terms of transactions per second, StanChart is amongst the top end in banks. We are able to do about 100 transactions per second, which now will be upscaled in a few months to 2,500 transactions per second. Now, what that enables us is to actually do with all the fintechs and the e-commerce platforms, which are very high intensity transactions like food delivery chains, etc. We are able to enable all their transaction processing in a very, very seamless way, because the kind of traffic that they witness, we are able to enable that through our payment architecture. So, for example, food delivery, we have enabled a solution for bulk payment towards restaurants and delivery executive payments, high volume transactions. We have enabled instant claim payments for insurance companies. We've enabled a lot of small value, high frequency kind of transactions. The other thing we've done is we've collaborated with a lot of fintechs to actually improve our ability to serve clients. So it's been a partnership. Actually, I keep getting asked that question, do you compete or collaborate? My view is we collaborate more with fintechs than compete. And that has really enabled us to use them in enhancing our whole, whether it's a diligence process or value addition to clients, etc. So all in all, I would say it's been a wonderful last 2 years of digital journey. And we have also used digital in how our frontline engages with the clients. So for example, we've built in-house tools. So relationship manager knows if a customer's credit balance is dipping, then they immediately know the money is gone to another bank, or if the customer is borrowing from some another bank. Those tools have been built to even improve our frontline productivity. Hyper-personalization has been built. So many, many things have been done. And I would say the journey continues.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. I mean, as you rightly pointed out, I think some of this was accelerated by, the pandemic, but we were already in that journey of digitization. You talked a lot about all of the technologies that came into play. So let me take you a little bit down the path of capability centers. I know Standard Chartered has, your capability center. And I want to ask you, how do you see the journey of your GBS in terms of value creation for stakeholders, specifically given the topic? And how is that contributing towards the transformation of the bank's agenda?
So like most organizations, Standard Chartered also evolved over time in what was done in the Global Capability Center. It was set up way back in 2001, but that time it was more a back office services kind of play. over years, since 2007, we added Tianjin, then we added Bangalore, we added Greater Bay Area recently, etc., and Warsaw in Poland. But out of the 36,000 employees that we have, 27,000 are India-based. So you can imagine that like it's a 75% of our global GBS is in India. And there's some very interesting data points. GBS is the global leader for us in hubbing with 34% share of the overall bank volume of transactions. 74% is for tech and innovation, or whatever globally is done, 74% is done in GBS, and 75% of cybersecurity. So it's a fairly very, very vibrant and very relevant and very integral part of our bank. And the other good thing is that we have mobility between the bank and GBS employees also. So it sort of enables people from GBS to move to the bank and bank people to move to GBS. Also, it's a one-stop shop for end-to-end servicing. We have centers of expertise in compliance, transaction banking, retail digital banking, control and risk functions, cloud, cyber, so many things. 80% of our cloud transformation team is based in GBS. And we have in GBS the largest AI, ML, and analytics capability also. So it has become fairly high-end work that we are doing in GBS. In terms of workforce optimization, we have actually looked at what we call right shoring internally, and we've looked at which job families can be sort of moved to GBS to sort of build this scale and synergy. And because certain functions like financial crime and compliance, those are very, very high end, and a lot of investment in technology is made. So if you have a hub, it enables the extreme specialization that happens in some of these, and we get those very high-end skill sets developed in GBS. So the right shoring, then we also do what we call smart sourcing. So, you know, we have enabled a champion challenger ecosystem also. And of course, the workforce empowerment through hybrid working, etc. The interesting thing that has happened, we've been able to launch 2 digital banks. One is a pure digital bank, MOX, in Hong Kong in the midst of COVID, because GBS was then taking care of a lot of the back-end kind of support to the front-end digital bank. And we are launching banking as a service in Indonesia, which is what we call Nexus. So those are all enabled thanks to we have a robust system in GBS which supports that. And also we have something called SC Next, which is a GBS Innovation Center, which offers cutting edge solutions to a lot of our businesses. We have something called Cool, which is a digital data platform in GBS, which enables the bank to develop internal applications very quickly and intelligently. We have Swoosh, which is a Standard Chartered first in-house AI platform, built completely ground up to solve image-based and unstructured database problems. So there's a lot of high-end work that GBS does. The other interesting thing that we have worked with GBS as a bank is the entire call center. We said we'll make it a profit center. So let's not look at it as a cost center. So what we did was working on high-end analytics. We actually turned the call center into a profit center. So every time some customer calls the call center, we immediately on the screen of the call center executive, what pops up is that these are the products that you can sell to the customer. And we have now 75% of the incoming calls, we are able to offer a selling product. And that has, so now the profit, the revenue we make is 2.3x of the cost of the call center. So that is how we're transforming them to a meaningfully a revenue kind of mindset, which is very different from assuming that I'm a cost center and you have to just service. We said, no, you have to service and you have to sell. And that has really, again, transformed the way GBS is. And it has really sort of motivating the employees there also. We've done gamification where a call center executive actually knows we make it a little bit of fun how they're progressing on the sales, and they can sort of compare notes, etc. So also getting a sense of the temperature, if somebody's unhappy, upset, the mood, all these things we've done through gamification. So we exactly know how people are feeling about. It's a very stressful job, handling 60, 70 calls in a day of sometimes irate customers, but we've completely changed the way the whole thing works. So many such things we've done in our GBS center.
That sounds like an exciting and amazing journey. I always say capability centers, as you rightly pointed out, used to be back office services based, transaction based, and they've completely now pivoted towards high-end engineering, innovation focus. In fact, we went through that transformation ourselves, with a focus on making sure the technology enablement and enhanced service portfolio. But I know what I found, in my experience, is getting people and skills aligned to the needs of the businesses and what the clients and the market needs, and then provide a nurturing environment for people to start to be able to play and innovate, just gets us there, right? Which sort of brings me to the next question, Zarin, on talent, right? We know the talent market that we all live in globally, right? Not just here in India. So talent continues to be a key aspect of what we need to drive value to our clients and to sustain and business growth. Could you elaborate, on some of the practices that Standard Chartered uses to be able to sort of nurture talent, if you will?
Yeah, sure. So GBS, being a multi-capability center, like I mentioned, offers a lot of opportunity for our staff to sort of internally grow. So out of all the vacancies that come up, 40 to 50% are filled by our internal talent. So it helps people, somebody say a band 6 and a vacancy comes up in a band 5 position, it enables them to apply and grow. So that is quite a good thing, because that enables people to be retained because they see a growth path. So we call that upward mobility, which we give to our staff. The other thing that is interesting is that last 12 months, the new hiring that we've done, 42% are women. So we are really working on diversity. We have about a 31% women kind of workforce, and we're trying to improve that. The other thing that we do in GBS is also disability people. So we have 24 people differently abled, and we sort of have trained them to do functions, which is really nice. In terms of building the skill sets and constant disruption that we see in the marketplace, what we've done is we've built something what we call a talent marketplace. And that's not only GBS, it's in the bank also. So the way it works is, if any department has a need, anybody in the bank or GBS can put up their hand saying that it's a 3 or 6 month work that person can do along with their normal work and work with different teams in the bank. And it enables people to sort of have cross-functional talent and sort of motivates people going. That has been really well received in the bank. We see a lot of our colleagues actually putting up their hands to do something different and build some skill sets. The other thing that we've done is what we call Access Academy, which is a digital learning platform, and it was set up to, again, upskill our employees. It actually provides a structured learning path to equip technologists with the right skill sets, say cloud transformation, open banking, emerging technology, data centricity, etc. So different, it can be a fresh graduate, it can be a mid-career person. Everybody has found this quite useful. And in the last 2 years, we found learning has increased more than 223% because people are wanting to sort of upskill themselves. And we've seen 32 locations worldwide, more than 16,000 people actually participate, which is quite encouraging. And the other thing that we've also done is now, Future Work Now program, which is the hybrid working. GBS started this on an experiment basis, maybe just pre-COVID, and it actually turned out that that was quite relevant because finally we had to sort of enable that. And I think I would say we make the GBS people feel that you're part of Standard Chartered Bank family and you're not, a back office or this thing. It's more like one family. So I think that has kept the motivation going of the employees, I would say.
Excellent. Those are great points. I mean, I was just looking at my own notes here. I mean, it's about being able to supplement the workforce with the mindset to innovate and the culture of learning, as you pointed out. I mean, I think culture of learning is now grown everywhere. And empowering individual aspirations, your upward mobility that you talked about, that everybody wants to grow and continue to learn. Zarin, thank you for all those comments. I'm just going to summarize real briefly the conversation that we had today. It was very enlightening. It is, needless to mention that the value creation is the foundation of any business for that matter, right? It is what drives competitive edge, fuels long-term customer success, brings identity to your brand, and so on and so forth. But while we create the value, as it seems as complex as it is, there are several ways to do it, right? But at the core of all of this is the talent and making sure that the talent is engaged, learning and growing, and the impact that it can have, right? And they can create throughout the entire life cycle as they go from, how the business is structured to what products are built and how you sell and how you service your customers, as you talked about, and so on and so forth. With the organizations around the world continuing to adapt to unique challenges, the traditional view of value creation is continuing to evolve. Again, as you pointed out, the whole call center, not only do you service the customer, but also bring revenue. What's needed is a strategic pivot. That's the most important thing, right? A holistic transformation that can drive sustainable outcomes for everybody that's involved, right? This is, again, your industry, our employees, right? I mean, it's the shareholders and the communities that we operate. So I do believe that global capability centers are a massive value creation opportunity, and they have a significant and a strategic role to play here, especially keeping in mind that the need for organizations to rapidly transform into digital businesses. So with that said, I just want to take a moment and say thank you to NASSCOM for this opportunity, and Zarin, thank you for taking time out of your valuable time out of your schedule. It's a great conversation. I learned a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to turn it over to Justin. Over to you, Justin.
Thank you, Zarin and Srini, for that insightful chat.